So 5664. No mundi kind of thing. Anyway, so why did they come up with such large? See, I told you, no, it is interesting that the age of the earth, as per the current estimates, is just 4.5 billion years. So when was the earth formed? This is somewhat close to that. I am not trying to say, and this may also be revised at a later point of time. That's the way science progresses. But currently, that is what it is. Okay. What is the basis of this yuga? See, and what is the basis of division of time? After all, we have a notion of time. So now this time, I mean, you can either continuous cyclic or continuous, I mean, there are various things, okay, about time. But all of us experience something called time. That forms the basis. So any experience that a human being has, so it is articulated by a word. And then if many people keep articulating something, some brilliant mind comes and integrates various things. That is what even Newton did. That's what even Kepler did. So you have the data that is being presented by various people, and then you try to collate and then form a theory out of it. This is how things progress. So here the notion of time, so people had this notion of time, the passage of time and so on and so forth. And they say, see, grahabhaihi anumiyate kshetre. So there are two statements here. Kaloyam anadyanantaha. So the kala is anadi and ananta. Okay. But then in the anadi kala and ananta kala, we just have some partitions which are made. Okay. So for our convenience we make. Sometimes the ruler will impose something. So that is how it started, no? I mean, how old is it? Why are you calling 2023? Somebody said we should start at this point of time. Similarly, somebody else said we should start at some other point of time. There may be various numbers that are associated, and we have been associating something called Kali Yuga. So according to our calculation, it is some 5025. Okay, Kali Yuga currently. What he says is, so this division of time has to do with Graha Bhaihi. Graha means something, planet. Bha is stars. So with Graha and stars, we are able to keep track of time. So this is a very general statement, very meaningful statement. Okay, Graha Bhaihi Anumiyate Kshetre. So today, in fact, most of us today use some clocks, okay, so electronic, etc. What gives the basis for this count? You find some material which can be ticking, etc., etc., right? So there is some CCM which people say. So jumping from one level to the other level, that is the basis. Now, if we actually probe this question a little deeper, these things have to be simply trashed, provided the rotational period of the earth changes, right? So there is nothing which is constant, and in fact it is continuously changing. So it may not be changing within a few human lives, but it is changing. So it may be in the 5th decimal, it may be in the 6th decimal or 4th decimal at given various points of time. Assume that a huge, if we know that a huge impact of any event is going to definitely change the course of motion. It's like this, your car moves, somebody else comes and hits you, then it changes, right? So you don't need to do anything. I mean, initially there has been, you may be cruising, okay? In Tesla you put in cruise mode, and then it is moving just like that. Assume that it is frictionless. But if something comes and hits, then that's all, it will change. Okay, it may be some nice hit and then it can go. There may be some minor variation and still it can keep moving. This thing can happen, any meteor can come and hit the earth. And it would have happened long back also, we don't know. So these things have been pondered over by these people, and therefore they make this statement. Graha Bhaihi Anumiyate. This will be true at all points of time. If this changes, then you will change. But if you have some fixed atom, okay, so jumping of that, then that will not match. So you may have to change the number later. So if you say that this jump is some n, so then you may have to say n plus 78, whatever it is. So that is how it is. This is a general understanding is what you see here. And this is how we actually make the study of the motion. See, the stars provide a fixed frame of reference for us. And a cluster of stars you call as a Rashi. See, you give the name Scorpio, etc. Depending upon the pattern that you recognize in the cluster. The cluster will have several stars, some of them will be prominent. You take the prominent stars and try to draw a contour, so then you will find some pattern. That is how you have given the names for the Rashis. And they are 12 in number. Okay. So this 360 will be divided into 12, and therefore you have 30-degree segment. These are called as Rashis. To just give you a feel of how we try to understand. So you are an observer. See, O is the observer on the surface of the earth somewhere, and you usually think of a horizontal plane, which we call as horizon. We call it as Kshitija, and when an object comes above the horizon, you say it rises, and when it goes to the other side, you say it is setting. Okay? This is true for any object, okay? Whether sun, moon, planet, whatever, star. So this is how. And today we know that Earth is sort of spinning. Okay? But earlier people did not know whether Earth is spinning or the whole sphere is spinning. Okay? In fact, one of the names for Earth is Achala. So suppose I were to ask you, how do you know Earth is spinning? What will you say? Suppose I were to ask, so how do you know Earth is spinning? Somebody told.
Yeah, we read.
We read. Yeah, so there is no phenomenon, see, by which you can easily say Earth is spinning. You can say Earth is spherical, that is easy. Okay? That is easy. So it was not possible for these people. In fact, one of the interesting things, see this, I told you, ChatGPT. That fellow talks of heliocentric motion. Aryabhata at least made a hypothesis that Earth is spinning. There are very clear verses. In fact, I will tell you simple verse, very beautiful. He gives a beautiful simile. He says, Anuloma gatir nausthaha. In Sanskrit, nauhu means, see, we are doing Pravesha, right? So nauhu. So nauhu means boat. Okay? So nauhu means boat. Nausthaha means a fellow sitting on the boat. Anuloma gati, we just assume that he is moving in some forward direction. Okay, one direction you call as anuloma. The opposite direction you will call as pratiloma. Okay. So he says, Anuloma gatir nausthaha, as a fellow who is sitting on the boat, moving in the forward direction, he will see the trees on the stationary objects to be moving in the opposite direction. Okay. Anuloma gatir nausthaha pashyati achalam. Achalam means stationary objects. It can be tree, it can be anything. Pashyatyachalam vilomagam yadvat. Pratiloma and viloma are one and the same. So then he says, this is a simile. Achalani bhani tadvat. The word bham means tara. Bhambhe bhani. Okay. So bhani achalani means stars are stationary. Achalani bhani tadvat. Samapaschima gani. Paschima means Purva. Purva is east. Paschima is west. See, those who do Sandhyananda, Prachi, Vishema, Dakshina. So Pratichi, Paschima, both are used. Okay. So this Paschima Gani means what we observe is all the stars rise in the east and they set in the west. Earth is spinning means you see the other motion, right? What Aryabhata says is, see, Sama Paschima Gani, they seem to be moving westwards. What does this mean? He has in his mind Earth is spinning. Understand? This is a beautiful simile. Anuloma gatir nausthaha pashyatyachalam vilomagam yadvat achalani bhani tadvat samapaschimagani lankayam. Lanka is some place, okay? So there the observer will see like this. So this is a bold hypothesis that he has made. He had no evidence, but from the principle of parsimony, instead of making everything rotate around you, you can say I am rotating, right? After all, you have to say either this is happening or that is happening. This is observed phenomenon. I have to explain, I have to present the theory model. So that is how he presents, okay? That would have been stated by fellows who write something in the web. All sorts of things are there. That is how this ChatGPT picks up. There are fellows who write heliocentric motion was known. Okay, anyway. So you see that this 360 degrees circle is an imaginary circle. There are two circles here. One is I have called as celestial equator. Okay, celestial equator you can understand. See, you imagine the earth. You know something called equator. Okay, so you try to blow it up. Imagine in your mind, it just goes and hits a huge sphere around you, which you can call as celestial sphere, an arbitrary sphere. See, some of you would have seen the planetarium also show. So you will be sitting there and you will see hemispherical dome around you. So similarly, you can think of the blown up version of the terrestrial equator as celestial equator. This is one plane. See, the plane. So the axis of the earth, it just keeps spinning. But then there is another plane which is the most important plane. So that is marked here as red. That is the plane in which you see the sun to be moving around you. Okay, these two planes